everybody, and welcome to another episode of This Week in Philadelphia Sports, although it's technically recapping last week in... We'll ignore that. With myself, Liam Jenkins. If you are new around this channel, guys, make sure you leave a like and hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for all of your support over the last few months. It has been amazing seeing this channel grow, and of course, your daily dose of content at phillysportsnetwork.com. It's only right that we start with the Philadelphia Eagles, who are 1-0 on the regular season. They defeated the Washington Redskins, but my God, did I lose 7 years of my life during that first half. The Eagles entered halftime down 20 points to 7. I was saying to myself, if they get on the board before halftime, they're going to come back and win this game. The question was, would they cover the spread? And the answer was... no, I'm pretty much homeless now. There is no more Philly Sports Network. That's the end of it. The bet didn't come in. I'm sorry. Please note the team showed great character and resilience to come back from that, but there are plenty of talking points. The first one is a very positive note. It is went to Deshaun Jackson, and in a series of Game of Thrones all wrapped into one game, this was the scene where, alright, quick disclaimer, if you haven't seen Game of Thrones, just skip forward 20 seconds, where Arya kills the Night King. It was the homecoming of dreams, and it was only right that we got that fairy tale ending. It had been 6 years since Deshaun Jackson was back in Philly. The reception he got from the faithful in attendance at a sold-out Lincoln Financial Field was incredible, and then 2 touchdowns, 154 yards on 8 receptions. It was a homecoming against his former team. It was dreamy. The only way to describe it is like a fairy tale. It is something that fans have been pining to see all off season, and the deep catches were back. The Eagles have a legitimate deep threat, something they've been trying to find for the last 3 years. And in case you think I'm joking, that the Eagles have been trying to find a deep threat, let's just look back through the wide receiver 2 Hall of Fame in the Doug Peterson era, shall we? Yeah, not exactly a great cast, is it? But we've now got the star of the show back, and I'm sure this is going to be a tandem that take the league by storm in 2019. But the target share wasn't always that pretty. Zach Ertz had a very quiet first half, as did Nelson Aguilar, who was predominantly used in sort of orbits and sweeps. It was a more gadgety role we saw from the USC product. And as for the running backs, well, there is nothing better than seeing Darren Sproles on 3rd and short on a pitch that ends up backwards. That was great. That summed the first half up for me. It was just a case of the Eagles shooting themselves in the foot, surgically removing the bullet, patching themselves up, and then reenacting a series of Die Hard. It was bizarre. I've never seen a team shoot themselves in the foot that much and then dig themselves out of it. One could argue against another team they may not have been so lucky. Case Keenum wouldn't have missed a wide open Terry McLaurin, and the Redskins did suffer some injuries late in the game, which probably stagnated any hope of a comeback. But the first half play calling was worrying, to say the least. It felt like Doug Peterson was just sort of blindly pointing, that will do. And that's exactly what you can do at the Philly Sports Network merch store, where you can get lovely long sleeve t-shirts like this with that on the back. It's getting cold outside, lads and ladesses, so wrap up warm, get yourself a nice Philly Sports Network long sleeve, or a hoodie, or a t-shirt, whichever tickles your pickle or picklette. So, defense, Rasul Douglas gave up a touchdown, which, before getting to the film, I don't think is his fault. I think there should have been safety help over the top. There wasn't. He was clearly in zone coverage and angling towards the quarterback, trying to take away the boundary. He did that. The receiver ran that way. Douglas was meant to be defending that bit, so there should have been help. There wasn't. Don't really know what to make of that, but Jim Schwartz's play calling was terrifying at the best of times. I promise you, whenever the Sticks defense comes out, I genuinely get a shock, and I get flashbacks in my mind of all of those games, like the Tennessee game and the Tampa Bay. It's awful. Nothing says Jim Schwartz's defense like 3rd and 8 and lining cornerbacks 12 yards off the ball, and then a pass going underneath, and they get the yards after the catch. I will never understand the logic in a Sticks defense call. I don't get it. I don't get it. Of going to buy Christmas presents for your family and forgetting that you have family sharing on your phone. So when you send a text message and someone texts you, yourself and your significant other get the text, and the wife sees what you've bought her, and she's it's ruined. Christmas is ruined, alright? I saw it all the time. I used to work at Apple. Biggest thing, people came in seething because their wife received their text messages. That, and we even had someone who was doing the dirty. So, well done, Apple. You're doing good. And there were running backs. We briefly touched on them, where Darren Sproles somehow led the team in carries, which I know the Darren Sproles truthers will be going, told you so. My main worry is that Jordan Howard, who averaged 7.3 yards per carry, was used about as much as a bottle of vodka in a church. The Eagles came out swinging, and Carson Wentz went from playing like Sam Bradford to playing like Carson Wentz, and that was the tea we wanted to consume. It was two sugars, it was fully fledged, it was a thing of beauty. Wentz looked back to his best, and what stood out to me wasn't the 3 touchdowns, wasn't even the third down percentages, which we'll get to in a moment, but it was how comfortable and confident he looked on his dropbacks. He was no longer a statue in the pocket like we saw in 2018. He looked mobile again, and not someone sprinting around making Russell Wilson plays, but someone that could climb the rungs of the pocket, that could stand in and get off that primary read. He was able to scan the rest of the field like a sonic screwdriver, as I so eloquently pointed out on Twitter. That was one of my best analogies, that. Safe to say, Wentz and Deshaun Jackson stole the show. The backfield reminds me of 2016, where Ryan Matthews would go from being a goal line back to the lead back to injured, so that's probably going to happen. But overall, I think fans can be pleased with this result. There is a lot to definitely take from week 1. More importantly, anyone saying, the team's too old, there's too many veterans, everyone's too old, why are there no 20-year-olds on the team? Without those veterans, without Deshaun Jackson, without Fletcher Cox, without the leaders on this team, I don't think the Eagles would have pulled themselves back. Just look at Carson Wentz in that blowout loss to New Orleans last year. It got to a point he was just like, screw it. Do you know what? Yeah, go for it. And he was just aimlessly making throws, whereas this time he comes out with a tremendous deficit and methodically plucks away at this defense. It was like just picking them off one by one by one, spreading the ball around. Not a qualm to be had. The guy was as calm as a surgeon. There was nothing you could ask more of Carson Wentz in that game. So as long as the Eagles don't become their own worst enemy, they'll be absolutely fine. They've got a Sunday night football clash with Atlanta, where we'll be waiting all day for Sunday night. And so long as they can attack and make sure they win a shootout, I don't think we'll have any concerns. But the main problem, as it was last year, was the Eagles shooting themselves in the foot. They're their own worst enemy, and they need to be their own best friend. It's the year of self-love, folks. Let's just do that, alright? On to the Sixers, and nothing really happened except for Mike Scott punching an Eagles fan, which out of context sounds bad. In context, you can see both sides, alright? So basically, Mike Scott attends a tailgate dressed in Redskins gear, which is questionable, but he did let the world know he was coming. The problem with it is, I think not everyone's going to know who Mike Scott is. And if you go into that tailgate and you're not on Twitter and you're not following Mike Scott, you just see a tall guy in Redskins gear, you've had a drink and you get Larry. It's an ignorant fan. Like, at the end of the day, you're at an Eagles tailgate, you're clearly with friends, regardless of who you are. You shouldn't be subjected to threats, to racial slurs I've heard been mentioned around. Like, whoever that guy was, I hope takes a serious long look at himself. Fair play to Mike Scott for standing his ground and making an effort. What I won't stand for, though, is our photographer Alex McIntyre. He went to the game with Mike Scott, being brought into discussions on 94 WIP with Angelo Cataldi, who's about 97 years old, calling her cute and then calling her a groupie. Like, she's legit the hardest working photographer I personally know. She's done amazing things for us. She works with the Premier Lacrosse League. She has made leaps and bounds in her career. She just doesn't stop working. Like, it's LJ level grind. So for her to be just reduced to a groupie on Philly radio, where they're gonna belittle her and laugh, like, it's school kid bully stuff. Like, you're 96 years old, Angelo. Grow up, get over it, and focus on the fact that you've got a morning show the day after an Eagles win. Don't start trying to bait listeners in, alright? Come on, get a grip. Meanwhile, talking of Flyers, where Alex was at rookie camp with our writers Jamie Basco and Yariv Wallach this weekend, Flyers rookie minicamp is underway, and that's a golf swing. I tried my best. So what have we learned so far? Well, Philippe Myers looks like he'll be making the team. Joel Farabee is competing for the third line wing position and will be doing so against Morgan Frost, who also looked really good this past weekend down at the skate zone. And there are plenty of prospects who, under this new era with a new head coach and a new front office endeavour, could be set to try and sneak onto this roster. Some are trying to earn ELCs, which in England stood for the Early Learning Centre, a place where you could buy like ball pits and diggers and ride-in cars and kids stuff. It was amazing, right? That shut down, so apparently that means not that, and it's to do with the contract. Players like Wyatt Wiley could well be in line to sign one of those and make the Flyers team. So for the most in-depth Flyers coverage around, phillysportsnetwork.com. We're fully credentialed with the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, we're credentialed with the Philadelphia Flyers. We will be bringing you as much content as possible in 2019. The Philadelphia Phillies are facing the Braves this week, so that's going to be about as fun as getting your head kicked in. I can imagine. It's not going to be a laughing matter at all, is it? Not really. Bryce Harper had his hand hit. We had an exhausting win over the New York Mets. The Phillies are still 5-5 in their last 10. Somehow still in the wild card race. It's confounding how they are, but they are. So if they make the playoffs, are we going to see a miracle run in October? I don't know, maybe, but we might do if they can somehow salvage anything against the Braves, anything more than a couple of losses here, and it's probably going to be signed, sealed, delivered, and we look forward to next year and hopefully some managerial changes in terms of decision making, because there's a lot to take from this, most of it bad. The Philadelphia Union had a bit of a rest this week after beating Atlanta in the week before, which means we have come to the end of our video. And guys, if you have enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like, hit subscribe, and drop your comments down below. From myself, Liam Jenkins, you can follow me at Liam Jenkins PSN. I'll see you soon.